Hey everyone, it's Luke Gill with Fall Line Builders. Going to give you a little walkthrough of our Cape Cod project over the Tuckahoe area. Come on in. We've got our trim carpenters working away, cabinets being installed, tiles going in. So it's really exciting. Everything we need to do before paint. So show you a couple details here. So this is the old part of the house. And you can see as we walk through, you'll see some areas where we have bare yellow pine casing and others where it's primed. This is something we source from Sewers Lumber and Millwork here in Richmond, Virginia. They've been around since the 1800s, and they are providing us with all of our old work stuff to match what was in the existing. So this detail right here, this is called a plinth block. And we've got the casing and then a larger version of the casing that it dives into. We've got a much thicker base cap, two-piece base molding, and if we run the casing all the way down, this would be proud. So just a little detail. We wanted to focus on just the old part of the house. So we added a two-piece crown up here to give it that more traditional feel. This is the existing living room, and we're keeping this pretty much as is. We just widened the two cased openings. Got a gas fireplace that we're gonna fix up here, and then this is gonna be the adult living space. So you can see the old house originally had cast iron radiators under the windows, and then switched over to baseboard radiators probably in the 60s. This place was built in the 40s, and now we've gone with a forced air system. And so our hardwood floor guys have come in and meticulously kind of patched in. This is where a radiator hole was, and then we've cut in a flush white oak floor vent here. All this is going to get sanded. All this dust and overspray is going to get sanded, and all the old and new floors are going to blend beautifully. Tell you what, let's walk through this cased opening here into the dining room, and you kind of get a good shot and a good little teaser of the kitchen and the living room, that big addition that we did. But this way, from earlier videos, you might remember this was the boiler room when we had the radiators, and we had this massive boiler that took up all the space in here, old school tank water heater. We were able to get rid of all that and move our HVAC equipment into the addition and free up this space. We've got our pocket door here. Soft close, soft open, and I got a little note right here. So I messed up on the framing with my dimensions, and you can see we have an issue here where the casing is going to run into our panel, and we don't want that. So the solution here is we've got a 28-inch door. Talk to the homeowners, they're fine with a 27. 24 is typically standard on the bathroom. So we're just going to slide this this way, just far enough to get our casing on here so we have a nice reveal, and then just a simple powder room going in here. But yeah, this room is almost ready. A little bit more trim work around that old window, almost ready for grout and paint. Yes, this is the old kitchen, but really it stops right about here, and there was no doorway there. So there was, God, I think there were 3 doorways in here. I really can't remember how there was any room for appliances and counters. It was really tight. And this was the original dining room. But what we've done, and we haven't hung this because I'm 6'4", and if we hang this now, even though our ceilings are done, I'd have bruises and cuts all over my forehead. So we're going to wait until the very end. But this is going to kind of center over the dining room table. So the table's not going to be centered in the room. It's going to be centered from here so we can maintain this hallway here. So through this cased opening, we have the 2 original bedrooms and the original bath, which we've redone, but maintained the character. So all this new casing is matching what we have existing there. Kept the old doors, changed some of the hinge orientations, reused the old mortised unlacquered brass hardware. So tried to pay tribute to the old house and not change too much.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so these are all our buddy Mike Magny Source these from custom shop down in Suffolk, Virginia. And we do a full overlay here, but with little details like these flush fillers give it more of an inset look, but not at an inset price. And then you can see here the kind of the industry behind. We talked in an earlier video about our range hood exhaust and our makeup air. So we've got our makeup air right here, which is going to detail into the hood, and then our exhaust there. So when we actually mount the hood, our makeup air is only going to be coming down, catching the fumes and steam and everything, and then going back up through the hood. We're not introducing it to the whole home. You could see here how important too this condition was for us. If you look here on the sink wall, originally this bump out wasn't there, so we just had two 90-degree corners, which are really tricky to deal with from a cabinetry perspective. Where do you, those lazy Susan cabinets aren't very useful. So what we did, we worked with the architect to bump out the sink run by 2 feet, and kind of we gained an extra 2 feet for, you know, very, very little expense, but we lost all of our inside corners and gained a little bit more space around the island too. This is interesting here too. So Jesse Gemmer from Acme, our architect on this, did a couple walkthroughs and helped me out with getting some of our casing right. So all the windows in this are set at an 8-foot header, and that's not true. I'd have to get my tape measure to see what they're set at. But whatever we decided to set them at for proportion-wise, we could not get a door that was going to match. So we got the closest stock Marvin door that we could, and then just ran the casing up and added this little 1/4-inch MDF right here. So when this is all painted, it's going to look like it's part of the door, but you're going to have that consistent line, that datum point all around the addition, that top of casing. So a little trick to fool your eye. And then we've got our ARIA vent here. This is our exhaust, I guess, for our ERV, and then this is our supply here. This is a dedicated system. We have another one upstairs, and it's not tied in to the HVAC system, but our return for our main system is right here. So anytime that the system is on, heating and cooling, it's going to be pulling that fresh air back in and dispersing it throughout the house. So still a work in progress on these built-ins here, but we've talked about the industry that's behind there. So on the flip side, you saw things like the range hood exhaust and makeup air. You saw the ERV exhaust and makeup air. That's all buried behind there, and now it's our job. Our trim carpenter, who you meet in a little bit, is going to have to figure out how to conceal that return, bring some built-in cabinetry in here, and kind of balance that form and function. So we've got our outswing doors here, which I like to do especially on a screened-in porch. There's no need for close to the edge there. We don't have our railings up, so.
Or stairs.
Or stairs. Be a long way down. Outswing doors, we don't need any screens because this whole porch is going to be screened. So on a nice day, both of these doors come open, and you just have, fresh air coming in, but without the bugs. Good close-up detail too over here. So this is undercover, so it actually hasn't weathered as much. The copper's only been up for a couple weeks, but it's already starting to patina.
Pretty.
Yeah, so nice. So, anytime we're doing something new, it's all new materials, new windows, new siding. We try to kind of give it a little more character, and so by using this historic sill here, something that you would have seen in a house built in the 40s or before, by adding in some copper, which used to be really prevalent, we replaced all the flashing on this house with copper. So standard dimensional shingles, which are a low cost option, but really effective. And then just throw in some hints of that copper. And then when we bring our gutters in next week in that dark bronze, it just won't look so, shiny white, brand spanking new.